Has anybody heard of Fruit Fund as yet?
Yeah.
Oh my God, everybody. Hallelujah. That's awesome. It's only been working since September last year. I came up with this idea to give every child in Mid-Canterbury access to fresh fruit. What started the idea was initially watching Campbell live, and he kept throwing these interviews and episodes about child poverty in New Zealand, and I kept looking at it and thinking, does that apply to us? Is it actually happening here? Is it an issue in Ashburton? And because I'm fortunate enough to have contact with quite a lot of people through my home business, I'm actually a beauty therapist from home, so I get a lot of one-on-one time with clients that come into me, and I had the chance to actually put it out there and say, well, do you know of anything? What's your take on it in our community, and what can we do about it? So some of the responses I got were from teachers, teacher aides, parents, people that were directly associated with children, and some of the stories were pretty heart-wrenching. I'm going to share a couple of them with you now, and you'll understand where I was coming from. So one school in town had a sausage sizzle one day, which they do sometimes as a fundraiser. It's $2 a sausage, and it's to raise money for whatever. There's this one particular child who the client was telling me, we'll call her Lucy, my client, was telling me about this little child who never had any food. He would arrive at school in the same clothes that he wore every day of the week. He didn't really have shoes to speak of. He was falling out of his shoes, and he never had any food. He would arrive at school, he was starving, he was disruptive in class because he was just hungry, he was bored, he was falling behind, because you can't concentrate if you've got no food in your tummy. Add to that, cooking sausages. So that's pretty tough. And so this client, Lucy, said to the wee boy, look, I've got a spare couple of dollars, come with me, I'll get you a sausage. He was salivating, she said. He was actually literally salivating at the thought of this sausage. This is the bit that got me. She gave it to him, and he looked at it, and he said, is it okay if I give it to my sister? I just actually got goosebumps then when I tell that story. He was ravenous, and he knew his sister was also hungry, and he wanted to share it. So of course they both got a sausage, please. So things like those stories have been coming up to me all the time. And it's gone a bit beyond that. I hear stories of these poor little kids that don't have enough to wear. Hence the Coats for Kids campaign that was in town last year, Base Youth Centre.
Still got a swag of coats so winter rolls around.
Oh, you're from Base? Yes, of course. I think I saw you because I went to drop off a big box of
everybody coats there. So yes, when it gets colder, come see us.
Oh, excellent. Good plug for you. So that was awesome because I was hearing stories too of this wee boy that turned up at school in the middle of winter, shorts, sandals, t-shirt, and he was wearing gloves, and they were exfoliating gloves out of his mother's bathroom drawer. Bless. So when I heard about the Coats for Kids campaign, I actually went to one of the second-hand shops and just bought jerseys, fleeces, coats, like I think a lot of people obviously did. They were 50 cents, and they were $1. And you think, really? Are we really that poor that we can't afford a 50-cent jacket for our children? So I didn't buy all of them, because then I thought, well, if someone goes there looking for jerseys and they've been cleaned out. So I did buy some and pass them on, and that's really good to know that you've still got a stash and they need to be passed on. So I did keep hearing more and more and more stories about these kids missing out. And I thought, okay, so what can I do? What do we need? What's the first thing these kids need? And how am I going to get around the bureaucracy associated with donating? Because there are still hoops to jump through, and there is still red tape. If I had decided to prepare food to donate, it would probably need to be done in a commercial kitchen. It would probably need to be approved. I would have to list every single ingredient, which is usually like this. If I made sandwiches, there's gluten intolerant kids, and there's this and that and the other. Plus there's the time factor, which I'm a little bit poor in. So for me, the easy solution was fruit. I asked the daycare centre teachers and all of them, is fruit acceptable? Can I arrive with a box of fruit and the kids will get it? They said, yes, please do that. So what I've been doing is, initially I was just buying fruit myself and giving it to kids. started letting people know a bit about it. And then my clients started arriving for their waxing appointment with a bag of oranges and a bunch of bananas and all here's where your fruit fun. And it's kind of just taken its own gathered momentum on the way. It's just been absolutely awesome. So I get delivered a lot of fruit, people donate. I have got a bin over at the greengrocer. So if you're ever doing your shopping and you think, oh, I'll just even put a cucumber in there or a carrot, bag of carrots in there, that is collected most days and then it's delivered straight to, it's been preschools mainly over the holiday period. And also what I'm trying to do is now ensure future children are going to get fresh fruit. So I'm also getting fruit trees planted at the schools in these daycare centres. And it's getting children involved in the growing of fruit, understanding where it comes from, how to look after and nurture a tree, and that you can actually pick something from a tree and eat it. Because we actually lost that in the last generation. It's becoming a little bit more popular again to grow your own fruit and veggies, primarily because it's been so jolly expensive to buy them. Excuse me. Sorry. So people are starting to get their own veggie gardens and things back. But we've struck a bit of a problem because we haven't got the sections anymore. We've got a little strip of lawn like this and a little area like that, and the kids don't get out to play and pick apples and climb the trees, and we haven't got the space to have a veggie garden, and heaven forbid we haven't got the time. So it's become very difficult for people to do that. So what I've also been doing is getting people to sponsor a tree. I have a really good source of fruit trees from the lovely Karen Palmer, who is right into growing food and just really desperately wants to be on board with this, which is great. So I've got a supply from her of an endless amount of trees. It sounds like she's got thousands. And I'm asking people to sponsor a tree. So for $25, you get to choose where it goes, providing obviously the centre wants it. I've got great big black pots that the cow's mineral comes in. So the dairy farmers have given me a lot of these big black pots. We've got our tomatoes growing in them, they're great. So I'm arriving at these places with a tree and a pot, and it's like, go grow some food, and future generations are going to get the benefit. So to give you an idea of how expensive fruit is, this is from the supermarket. So we've got a bag of oranges, there's about 3 kilos. There's about 4 kilos of apples and a bag of carrots. This is $30 worth of fresh fruit and veg. That's actually not a great deal for your money, I don't think. So if I give this to one centre, the kids might get morning tea or whatever for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days maybe, at a push. And there are 19 preschools in the district. That's including kindergartens, and there are 19 schools. So I've got a big job, and I need a lot of help. One really good thing that's happening now is I've put a call out. I actually have a Facebook page for those who Facebook, and I've put a call out to people who actually have fruit trees, even though they are a dying breed, to let me know, right, my fruit's ready, come and take the excess stuff because nobody can possibly use all the fruit on their tree. So we've been doing that, and it's been awesome. We have someone ring and say, got an apple tree, come round. So last Saturday we had our first official pick-a-thon, which was awesome. So I had my 3-year-old daughter with me, who just absolutely loved it. Now it wasn't on paper the other day, she was on page 3 of the Guardian, picking apples, but they were cooking apples. So we came home with about 6 big buckets like this from one tree of cooking apples. So then we thought, well, we can't really give those to kids to eat as they are. So we all sat around the table and peeled and cut and stewed and actually stewed all the apple. So we're selling little bags of stewed apple for $1 a bag. Well, so far we've sold about 60, and we've got all these orders coming. So from one fruit tree that could have just been rotting and going to waste, you got the community together. So it's more than just about raising the money, getting the fruit to the kids. What happened was my parents came, a friend came, her daughter came, my daughter came, my husband came. We went and picked the fruit, had an awesome time doing it, it was great. Came back to my place, sat around the table, peeling, chopping, chatting. So it was a real social time, it was really neat. And then we stewed, of course, the bagging of the fruit. And all I had to do was put on Facebook, we've got bags of fruit for sale for Fruit Fund. And people were giving me a bit of cheek about it, yeah, good one. So once I explained this is what we were doing, So out of all of that, we got the joy of sitting around and doing that and being hands-on preparing the food. The people that donated the fruit from the tree are very happy because they know they've given it to a good cause and it's not going to waste. We sell it to people, they're really happy, they don't have to stew their own apples and they can use it for cooking or do whatever they like with it, and they're supporting a really good cause. Even the chickens are happy because they're getting all the peelings and what have you. We put the peelings in the worm farm and we get the juice and that goes back into our garden and the compost heap. So the warm fuzzies just kind of keep coming. And then at the end of the day, I've got, say, $100 or whatever we've raised from doing this, which is an awesome fundraiser. Everybody's a long line of happy people, and I get $100, I can then go to a shop and say, well, here you go, we'll keep you in business and you can sell us $100 worth of fruit, and then we'll take it and give it to children at the end result. So it's just awesome, and it's ongoing, and it's fun, and it's neat to be involved. We're going to have a similar situation when the blackboard peaches come in. I'm thinking the parents aren't going to be overly happy if we give them blackboard peaches, or their beautiful clothes come home state imagine these. So that's going to involve a heck of a big cook-a-thon once they're all grown up, because there's an awful lot of blackboard peach trees around, and we've got dibs on quite a few of them around the community. So again, that's going to bring a lot of us together, and it's going to be one messy cook-a-thon for a long period of time, because people are still arriving with apples on my doorstep now after me saying what we were doing with the apples. So basically, that's what we're about, that's what we're doing. We're promoting fresh fruit for kids. So we're also looking for volunteers, and I know they're out there, but they're quite difficult to channel sometimes. So I've got trees that need delivering, I've got fruit that needs to be picked up from here and dropped there, and there's trees that need to be delivered, and when the blackboard peaches come, it's just going to be immense. So there's all of that going on. So basically that's what we're about. If you can think there's any way that you may be able to help, that would be really, really awesome. I'll just tell you a wee story about when I was talking about the disconnection between people understanding where food comes from, our kids understanding where it comes from. The lady was telling me she bought a bunch of fresh beetroot from the supermarket and took it up to the checkout. And the girl looked at it, and she looked at the lady, and she kind of looked at her screen and looked up, and the lady didn't say anything, she didn't register that the girl didn't know what it was. And she looked through the screen and she ended up going, radishes. And the lady said, well actually no, it's beetroot. She said, no, beetroot comes in a can. Isn't that a classic?
That happened to me. The girl didn't know what a zucchini was. She's
Right.
like, it's like a cucumber.
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, I know. I'd love to get that connection back happening again and getting people involved in the growing, processing of food, understanding what it is, and actually getting the nutritional benefits from eating it. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your time.